My name is Valentina, and I am a 21-year-old university student studying physics at MIT. I've always been proud of my fit body. At 5'7" with long, flowing blonde hair, I turn heads wherever I go. My daily routine at home involves wearing nothing more than a pair of tight denim shorts and a loose-fitting t-shirt that shows just a hint of my toned midriff. I never wear socks at home because I absolutely hate them, preferring instead to flaunt my perfectly manicured toes, always painted in my favourite shade of white. My shoe size is a US 6, and my feet are something I take pride in. My chest is not overly large, but is a perky C-cup, which fits perfectly into the lacy sky blue bralette I choose for comfort. My underwear matches, making me feel confident and sexy even in the most mundane settings. Living in America, in a vibrant city filled with opportunities, I've always felt like I could be anyone I wanted to be. I am studying at one of the best universities, delving deep into the mysteries of the universe with my physics courses. My professors are some of the brightest minds, and the campus is a place where I feel I truly belong. However, home life has taken a complex turn since my mum remarried. My stepdad, Levi, entered our lives when I was just starting university. He's always had this intense gaze, one that I initially thought was just because he was trying to be a good father figure. But as time passed, I noticed something different in his eyes, especially when he looked at me. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of lectures and lab work, I came home to find Levi in the kitchen, his tall frame leaning against the counter. "Rough day at school?" he asked, his voice deep and concerned. "Yeah, quantum mechanics is really pushing me to my limits," I replied, dropping my bag on the floor and stretching out my back, feeling my shirt lift slightly. Levi's eyes seemed to linger on me a bit longer than necessary. "You look like you could use some relaxation," he suggested, his tone casual but with an undertone I couldn't quite place. I shrugged. "I think I'll just take a shower and maybe read up for tomorrow's class. We're diving into particle physics, and I need to be on top of my game." As I walked past him, I felt his eyes on me again. It was strange, this new dynamic. I knew I was attractive, and I enjoyed the attention, but with Levi, it felt different, charged with an unspoken tension. Later that night, after my shower, I returned to my room in my usual attire, shorts and a t-shirt, no socks. My feet were freshly painted with white polish, and I caught Levi watching me as I walked barefoot across the living room to grab a book from the shelf. "You really hate socks, don't you?" he commented, a small smile on his face. "They just feel so restricting," I laughed, sitting down on the couch opposite him. "Besides, I like showing off my pedicure." He nodded, his gaze dropping to my feet for a moment before returning to my face. "You're quite the sight, Valentina. I bet you drive all those boys at MIT crazy." I blushed, feeling a mix of flattery and discomfort. "It's not just about that, Levi. I want to be known for my mind, for what I can achieve in physics." He nodded, understanding flashing in his eyes. "Of course you're brilliant, but you can't blame a guy for noticing how stunning you are too." The conversation continued, light and teasing, but underneath there was this undercurrent of something more. I knew I should be cautious, but part of me was curious, intrigued by this new layer to our relationship. As the night wore on, we talked more about my studies, my dreams, and even his own past. But every so often, I caught his eyes drifting, a silent acknowledgement of the unspoken between us. This was just the beginning, and I knew that our interactions would only become more complex, more charged with the unspoken desires and boundaries we were both testing. Valentina sat on the edge of her bed, her hair still damp from the shower, the room lit only by the soft glow of her night lamp. She was still in her usual home attire, shorts and a t-shirt, her feet bare with the white polish catching the light. "Levi," she began hesitantly, her voice barely above a whisper, "I've been having these nightmares, they're about you." Levi, sitting across from her in the chair by the window, looked up from his book, his expression shifting from relaxed to concerned. "Nightmares about me? What kind of nightmares?" They're weird, disturbing," Valentina admitted, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "Sometimes you're not just my stepdad, you're more. It's confusing and it scares me." Levi got up and moved to sit beside her on the bed, his presence commanding yet comforting. "You can tell me anything, Valentina. I want to help." She looked down at her hands, her voice trembling slightly as she spoke. "In these dreams, you're not just watching me, you're touching me. It's all so twisted and wrong, but when I wake up, I feel so conflicted." Levi didn't speak for a moment, the weight of what she said hanging between them. Then gently, he reached out, his hand tilting her chin up to meet his gaze. "I'm sorry you're having these dreams," he said sincerely. "I would never want you to feel unsafe or scared, especially not because of me." His eyes searched hers, looking for any sign of fear or rejection. Finding none, he leaned in, his lips brushing her forehead in a tender, fatherly kiss. But as he pulled back, there was a moment where their eyes locked, and the kiss on her forehead lingered a tad too long, turning into something slightly more intimate. Valentina felt her heart rate increase, her mind swirling with the confusion of her dreams and the reality of his proximity. "Thank you," she whispered, unsure if she was thanking him for the kiss or for understanding. Levi's hand moved from her chin to gently cup her cheek. "If these dreams keep happening, we should talk about it more. I want to make sure you feel safe, Valentina. You're important to me." His words, meant to be reassuring, felt layered with meanings she couldn't fully grasp. She nodded, her skin tingling where he touched her. "I know, Levi. It's all so confusing." He nodded, pulling back slightly but keeping his hand on her shoulder. "We'll figure this out together. And if you need anything, even if it's just to talk at night when these dreams come, I'm here." The moment was charged, the air thick with unspoken possibilities. Valentina felt a strange comfort in his presence, despite the unsettling nature of her confessions. As Levi stood to leave, giving her space, she couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of navigating their complex relationship. As Levi's lips brushed against her forehead, Valentina felt a rush of warmth spread through her, a stark contrast to the chill of her nightmares. The kiss, meant to be comforting, stirred something within her, something that she couldn't quite name but welcomed nonetheless. "Levi," she murmured as he began to pull away, her voice soft but with a hint of urgency. Would you mind doing that again? It actually makes me feel better." He paused, his eyes searching hers for any sign of hesitation. Finding only a yearning for comfort, he nodded slowly. "Of course, Valentina," he said, his voice low and soothing. He leaned in once more, this time his kiss lingering a bit longer on her forehead, his breath warm against her skin. The contact was soothing, yet exhilarating, pushing the boundaries of what should be strictly familial. Valentina closed her eyes, savouring the moment, the confusion of her dreams, momentarily dissolving under the touch of his lips. As he pulled back, she looked up at him, her expression one of mixed relief and desire. Maybe we could do this every night, just until the nightmares stop?" Levi considered her request, his expression serious. "If that's what you need to feel safe, then yes, we can do that. But we need to keep this between us, understand? It's for your comfort, nothing more." Valentina nodded eagerly, her heart beating a little faster at the thought of this nightly ritual. "Yes, just between us." He stood up, giving her a small, reassuring smile. "All right then, every night until you feel better." That night, as she lay in bed, Valentina felt a new kind of anticipation. When Levi came to check on her later, she was already waiting, her mind a swirl of dreams and reality. He kissed her forehead again, his hand briefly squeezing her shoulder in a gesture that felt both paternal and something more. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling an odd sense of peace as she drifted off to sleep. The nightmares didn't disappear, but now they were met with the comforting memory of his kiss, making them less frightening, less real. This new arrangement, fraught with unspoken implications, became a nightly ritual. Each evening, as the house grew quiet, Valentina would wait for Levi, her heart fluttering with a mix of comfort and forbidden excitement, wondering where these nightly kisses might lead them. As the nights passed, their ritual became a comforting routine for Valentina. But this particular evening held a new, unexpected turn. The house was silent, the only sound the soft ticking of the clock in the hallway. Valentina lay in bed, her mind still haunted by the residual fears from her nightmares, her feet feeling unusually cold despite the warm blankets. Levi entered quietly, as he did every night, but this time he noticed her discomfort. "Your feet are cold," he observed, sitting at the edge of her bed. Without waiting for a response, he took her feet in his warm hands, rubbing them gently to bring back some warmth. "Thank you," Valentina whispered, her voice laced with the relief of his touch. The warmth from his hands spread up her legs, but it was his presence that truly calmed her. As he continued to rub her feet, his hands moved up slightly, warming her ankles. In a moment of spontaneity, Levi leaned forward, his lips brushing against her neck in a soft, unexpected kiss. "Did that help?" he asked, his voice a whisper against her skin. Valentina's breath caught in her throat, her body reacting instantly to the sensation. The kiss on her neck felt intimate, more than just comforting, but it was exactly what she needed. "Yes," she breathed out, her voice trembling with a mix of surprise and delight. It feels good." The nightmares that had haunted her nights seemed to fade away with this new touch. There was something deeply soothing about the way Levi cared for her, going beyond what was expected, touching her in ways that blurred the lines of their relationship, but also mended her troubled sleep. "Every night, then," Levi murmured, his lips still close to her neck, "until the nightmares are gone for good." Valentina nodded, her eyes closing as she let the warmth and closeness wash over her. That night, she slept deeply, without the shadow of her usual nightmares. The combination of physical warmth and the emotional comfort from Levi's unexpected kiss seemed to have worked like a charm. From that night on, their nightly ritual evolved. Each touch, each kiss, became not just a way to ward off her bad dreams, but a silent agreement to explore the fine line between care and something more, something neither of them fully acknowledged but both seemed to need.